Hi everyone, welcome to the last part of this double page video from Ivy in the Inky Butterfly by Johanna Basford, using Castle Arts pencils, and we'll be using some soft pastels at the end. The sun has come in, so I've got to draw the blind, so it might all look a little bit different, but hopefully it'll be fine for you to follow along. We've pretty much, we've completed all the pencil colouring on this side. This side we have the bee and the butterfly to do, and then we're done. I'm going to do the bee first because I'm not sure how colourful to make the butterfly yet. I'm going to see how it sits with the bee. Okay, so let's bring this into the middle and a little closer. Now I have already done a video colouring the bee, I think from another page it was actually in the planner, on the Sweet Pea page. So this will probably be quite similar. But if you haven't seen that one, then hang on, I've just got to flip with my book. If you haven't seen that, there we go. I need to put it under my pencil tin so that I can see my pencils. If you haven't seen that one, then this will be different, but otherwise it might be a little bit similar. But that's okay. Now we've got these different sections on the bee, so we're going to do the sort of body first, black stripes and yellow stripes. I'm going to start my yellow stripes with the green gold. We're going to do a few different colours within the yellow. So here is our green gold, and I'm going to use that on the very edge. So that one's quite hard, so I'm just going to start on this one to show you. So just build up quite a thick layer here of your green gold, just keep colouring over, and then a bit less here and a bit less here, so that we've got a little darker area. When we we'll do lighter yellows, a bit more like this one, but this has got orange in, and this is going to look a little more goldish, brownish to start with, rather than orange. Now I'm thinking about, the reason I'm distracted, the shadow. I'm thinking the light might go right across the middle of the bee here. So it's going to be darker to light there. So let's do this bottom bit now. I want to do all of the end of our bee. Now Johanna Basford's actually got a video for how to colour this bee as well. So, or maybe this one, or maybe the one from the Sweet Pea page. It's the same bee. In hers she uses pens, and I did follow it once, probably in my original copy of this book. It was quite scary using pen, I thought, but I did it. I was quite proud of myself for being so brave, to be honest. Right, I don't think I'm going to do this head bit yellow. I think this is usually black. So I'm going to leave that. So that'll be our base. Then we need the next colour I want is, I still want a brownish yellow. I think the cadmium yellow deep is going to be the best sort of next match. So here it is, cadmium yellow deep. And I just start at the top here. So I'm just going to sort of slightly overlap it and then bring that colour in. I think actually I'm going to have to go over it because it's quite the same shade of colour. There we go. So it might look a little odd. This is actually a bit orangey. I was hoping to avoid orangey yellow, but never mind. It is what it is. There we go. This one needs a lot more because it's a much bigger space, but I'm only going to use one other colour after this. So we need to really bring it in. Fading as we go if we can, like that. So over the top of this one with quite a few layers, and then less as we go towards the centre. Like that, and then around the edge of here, like that, fading as we go if we can. Now our last colour, I think we could do the cadmium yellow. It just there it is, cadmium yellow for the centre part. Now our bee isn't metallic, so it's not going to shine and leave a white line, so I'm going to cover over that but try and fade it towards there like that. So we've definitely got a lighter bit here, but it's not, there's not white there. And here the same thing. Now the bee is fluffy, so in Johanna Basford's video for how to colour him, she uses pen to create the fluffiness. I'm not sure I'm going to worry too much about trying to create fluff, a fluffy bit of bee, but we'll see how he develops. Okay. I quite like using if I do a Prismacolor bee, I quite like using it's a nice bronze colour, it's really nice. Now for the stripes, I want to do the head black. Let's grab the black, the ivory black, completely. So these I want to do a little bit lighter, so I'm going to incorporate some grey in. So let's do the head first. So really quite black, lots of layers. I still want that shine, which is going to come, it's coming around here, so it's going to come here. So I'm just going to do a bit less here, like that, but get some down again on the top. I'm not sure what to do about the eye. I think the eye would be black as well, but we'll do it a slightly different colour, like that. So we've still got a bit of a paler area, but we've got all black. With these stripes, we'll put a bit of grey in, so they don't look as black as that, just so that we can distinguish between them. But while I've got the black in my hand, I'm going to do the antenna part. I'm actually going to do these quite black. They're quite cute, but they're quite small. Whoops, like that. Now with this part, we've got the legs. Now the legs I'm going to do black, again quite intensely black. So I need this part of the bee to look a little lighter, so that's why oh, I've got an itchy eye. That's why I'm doing these first, so that I can make sure that I don't blacken that so much that these disappear. You'll see what I mean. There we go. So here, a bit lighter. Do you see it's still black, but it's lighter, and just tail it off. Here too, like that. So do the same on all of this, a little bit of black. Now what sort of shade of greys are we going to use is what I'm thinking now, because we have the sort of browny greys, we have a charcoal, a Davies grey, the warm grey light, but we also have our very silvery greys, the cool grey deep. It's pouring with rain, so I could just hear a noise. I couldn't work out what it was. It's the rain pouring down. Luckily I've already been out. Okay, so I'm going to leave that for the black, and I think either the Payne's grey or the cool greys are going to work. I think I'm going to use the cool grey, just because we've already used it. I think, oh, there we go, cool grey. Gosh, that's loud rain. So I'm going to go a little bit over the black, not too hard, because I still want to be able to see these legs, remember? And then take it up. Now I'm thinking about where is it lighter. It's lighter here. So it's up here where I need to make it a bit darker. And then fade it down. Now, as I said before, we don't want it to be there to be any white, so we can just make it a bit lighter like that without actually leaving any white. And we'll do the same here. Our shine is sort of coming through there, so it's about here. So I'm just going to work that up a little bit and fade it to there, trying to keep away from these straps. These are what's holding on his saddle. You can imagine if you saw a bee flying around and had a saddle on. That'd be quite a shock, wouldn't it? So this bit's quite light. There we go. And then the same on here, so just going over that black a little bit. It helps to blend it in together to sort of make the colours work well together. And then less here. I was going to watch some tennis in a bit. I mean, I know when this video goes out it would have been well finished, but it's might be raining there too. Anyway, we'll see. I'll have a look later. There we go. Now, saddle. I had thought that a red saddle might work with our red post box. I thought it might be quite a good choice. I think I'm going to do that. We've also got the eye. Now, I remember distinctly that when Johanna Basford did her version, she did the eye blue, but I wasn't sure whether that was quite the right colour. I don't know what the right colour is though. I'm wondering whether grey is the right colour, and I think I'm just going to use my cool grey to colour lightly over those eyes like that. And the wings. Wings are always tricky. I'm going to use my cool grey again, really lightly. Hold it quite far up the pencil. I'm holding it really near the end on its side, and just gently put down a really light layer to start with. I think I might put some sparkle on these wings. I do love putting a bit of glitter on a wing, but not yet. Now I'm thinking the outside edge we could do a little bit darker, but we could put glitter on. You could use like a silver pen on the edge if you wanted, or a silver glitter pen. I didn't actually bring my pens through. The pen I want, I think I've got one in my pencil case here anyway. We'll see. If I need to go and get some, I'll have to just stop the video. It's not a biggie. Yeah, I'm very glad we've already been out. It seems to be the weather at the moment. You get up in the morning, it's dry, and then it rains later on in the day. I mean, it's only, what's it, 10 to 11. So it's not that late in the day. And it seems to keep it cool and fresh, which is rather nice. Because it's not muggy at the moment. Right, saddle red. The Venetian red is what we use for our base red, so I'm going to use that if I can find it. Where are you? There you are. I'm talking to my pencils. Oh. So I'm going to use a layer of Venetian red all over, just like I did for the post box, actually. And then we'll build up some colour. I think last time I did this page I did a blue saddle. I think blue is quite a good colour too. It would match that big blue parcel we've done, but I just think the red is quite striking. There we go. Now I'm going to use the scarlet red. Now I'm thinking that this piece here, I'm thinking is standing up a little bit, and this bit is dipped down. So this side, can I make it a little bit darker? Like this. Go right to the edge. The edges might be even darker, like that. There might be some shadow from the wings, and I'm thinking the straps maybe there and they're a bit darker, and at the bottom where the clips are. There we go. Now I'm going to go back to my Venetian red, which I'm just going to sharpen. And just tidy it up a little bit. So I'm going to put some on top of here where I've done the scarlet, just to try and blend it in. Nothing too fancy, just to even it out. A little bit here too, same reasoning. Now this bit here, I want it darker at the bottom if I can. So if you see the shape that it's drawn, it looks rounded. And then a darker bit on this edge too. My tongue's sticking out. I'm trying to concentrate so it looks, maybe it looks a bit rounded. Now this one is far too thin, so I'm just going to put a little bit more colour on it because it's a bit pale. There we are. Now we have our buckles. Now gold would stand out more, but it's a little bit tricky. We could try it with our green gold actually. Let's just try the green gold, because I think if we do it silver it's just going to disappear into the grey. So I'm just going to put a little bit on each corner. Try and keep some white there to make it look shiny. I'm not sure if that's worked that well, but there we go. Okay, so there is our bee. Now we need to do our butterfly. Oops. Just trying to move my book carefully. Now I'm aware that we have drips. Now these are the ink from the Inky Butterfly, so I'm actually going to do those first. I'm going to use black pencil. I was gifted a glaze pen which someone suggested I use for the ink for the butterfly. Great idea, and I have used it before and it does work really well, but I don't want a wet pen on this bit, so could go back at the end and do it, but I just want to get these black areas done so that I can have a look at what else needs doing. I'm unsure as to how the butterfly just got ink all over the tips of its wings, but saw a butterfly this morning. It's really pretty pale blue colour. I don't know anything about them, no idea what it was, but it's very nice. I'm just sharpening up my cool grey because I need to do that body part of the butterfly. And going to try to make it a little darker around the edge of the head, a little lighter in the middle, and the same with this bit. It's quite tricky, it's very small, but I try my best. There, that's all I can do. Now colour. Now the butterfly in the story is very colourful, and we haven't got a lot of colour on this page, so I'm going to introduce a few colours to the butterfly that we have used already. We've used the azalea pink. Let's use a little bit of that to start with. Let's do the very bottom part here, that section there, and that section there. I'm going to do both those the same with pink. Then I'm going to use the light cerulean, the cerulean blue light, if I can find it. Is that it? No? I'll get there. Where are you? There's the cerulean. There it is. Again, need it sharp. Probably not going to do anything too fancy with this because it's small. So cerulean blue light for this bit here and here. What else can we use? What else have we used? We've got yellows, we've got reds, we've got greens. We could use a green. Let's grab a cadmium green, do a little bit here. I think we'll use the mauve deep. I know we use it for the flowers. There it is. Oh. Mauve deep. And I think we might use a red for the top bit. I'm going to use the scarlet red for the very top. Now the butterfly is supposed to have gold on it, but I can't do gold in pencil. Right, I'm just going to come out and we're going to talk about the background. Okay, so I'm going to be using my soft pastels, and I'm going to do, I have decided, I'm going to do the sky in blue, but I don't know, I might do a little bit of green along the bottom here behind the leaves. So we'll see how it goes. So here are the pastels. I won't be able to keep them in shot and the page, but I'll just show you which ones I'm using. There are lots of blues to choose from. I'm not going to use the very lightest, I'm going to use this third one along. I find that's quite good for sky. Okay, I just put my finger on top of the black one, which was rather silly. So anyway, oh sorry, I just hit the tripod. Let's just put the, now I'm using a washable cotton cloth to apply the pastel with. I find that they actually put the pastel down better than a disposable cloth that I've tried in the past. Now trying to get around these letters is going to be quite difficult, but we'll do our best, and around the yellow bits. Now the words, I don't want to cover the words, so I'm going to try and do a little bit around the words so they don't get blue on. Now hold your book as you rub so that the pages don't crease or anything like that. You need to hold the page still, but be careful not to touch an area where either you've already put pastel or you're going to put pastel, because it can leave quite nasty looking fingerprints. Now I'm going to try and do a straight edge there around the words. Now you can do this in pencil, but it takes a very long time, much quicker with pastels, which is why I like to use them a lot. You can get a very quick and effective background. Now if you put your fingers down on the page, you get leave greasy fingerprints which can affect how the pastel's going down. Now I'm probably not going to try and get a really smooth look because it's very difficult. So, and sky isn't always completely smooth. You know, it depends on the sky. Sometimes it's full of cloud, sometimes it's completely blue. I'm colouring over these bits of magic, the sparkles and things like that at the moment. Those will be put back in pen at the end. It's proving a little tricky to get around the letters. Now you can use various other tools for applying pastel which can allow you to get around fine areas a little bit more easily. I might grab something in a minute. I think I'm just going to put down the main bits and then see if I need to sort of improve it and use something. Sometimes it's easier to just use these and take things a little bit more slowly, because the background is going to be quick comparatively, you know, compared to using pencil. Then you can take your time a little bit and you won't get bored, hopefully. Now with these, we're going to go right over them for a minute, and we'll use some white pen after to try to pick out the seeds. Now that's why I've picked a reasonably dark blue. A lighter one isn't going to show up white pen very well. You want to make sure you put it on thickly enough so that a white pen will show up. It isn't easy to get it quite right, it takes practice. Now I am thinking about whether to do a bit of green down here, so I don't necessarily want to take my blue all the way down to the bottom of the page. Let's get this bit done around this dandelion. You want to be very careful not to get it in the centre there, because that yellow, if you get this on it, what colour, blue and yellow, makes green. Might not be too bad, but probably just end up looking quite blue, because that is a cream, isn't it, in there, which is really pale. So just try and go right up to the centre without going across the middle. Got the same with our lamp here. Our candle, we want to be very careful. We don't want to get blue in the white bits that we've left for shine, or inside it on the yellow, or so it'll go green. It's a little bit tricky. I've done my best to do that, but we can go over that stem luckily, because that is green, so it'll be okay. You can take a bit of blue. I think I might change to green down there. So I'm just going to go back round here now. I'm going to grab a better tool, I think. These are sort of cosmetic tipped cotton buds, they're called. So you get a pointy end and a rounded end. I like the rounded end better. So I'm just rubbing that end onto the pastel. I'm going to use it around this lamp. So if you have a Q-tip or a cotton bud, that might work just as well as this. I just happen to spot these and think they might be better. I'm not convinced if they are or not, to be honest. They're also quite good for spreading stickles. Still not brilliant, but quite good. They're better to start with. They start to sort of wear out, but I suppose they will. I know you can actually buy Q-tips that are washable. I don't know if they would be any better or not, but I haven't tried them. So we'll try and get around these letters a little bit. This one's particularly, I just need a bit of help on this one. Okay, now let's get around this yellow flower a bit. I don't like the noise this makes. Right, back to my cloth. And down here a bit. Now inside this dandelion here, we're going to need a bit of this one. We don't want to turn it green, if we can help it, but it's not that easy. Just do the best you can. Okay, now we're going to do the other side with this colour. was nice and easy. Now, not going to get right down into that spine. You could use the tool, the finer tool, to get in there, or you can just leave it white. I tend to just leave it because I find it doesn't matter that much. And it's designed to make it easy for you to colour, to not colour in that bit. Johanna purposely doesn't go right into the spine with her drawing so that it's easier to colour. So the idea is that you don't colour in there really. Oh, book's moved. There we go. Now this does take practice and perseverance. You do need to layer it up a bit to get a nice amount and to get it smooth. And the more you manipulate it, the smoother it can get. But as I say, it takes a bit of practice, but not too much. It takes far less practice than learning how to use a pencil, I thought. But there we go. It was quite exciting this morning. Johanna Basford posted, you would have probably seen, that she's going to be doing some celebrations because it's the 10th anniversary since... Why is that doing that? Can you see it's got a line? Don't know. Anyway, we'll see what happens. Is it my paper underneath? Don't think so. It's 10th anniversary since her Secret Garden first came out, her first colouring book, and her first book was the sort of first ever adult colouring book really, so that's quite exciting that that she's got that sort of anniversary coming up. And she said she's going to do some videos and some freebies, competitions and things like that, so that's really good. She said, and she's got 2 books out. I know that she's got Small Victories is coming out, which you can now pre-order. I pre-ordered my copy now from Waterstones. I like ordering from Waterstones. They're a UK bookseller who, they have high street stores, but you can also order online, which is what I've done. And we don't have, unfortunately, our bookseller in my town doesn't sell adult colouring books, and when I pre-order them, they usually don't arrive until about a week after the issue date, which is very irritating. So I can't use them for that, so I use them for other books. But Waterstones has in the past sent me a book before the release date. Yeah, I received it a few days early, which was really good, so that's why I use them. But then another time I ordered from them and it was late because they were doing some work in their warehouse or something and they weren't sending things out, which was very irritating. So you can't rely on, and of course Amazon hasn't always been reliable in sending out Johanna's books on time. It can be really difficult knowing who to choose, because obviously we all want her book as soon as possible. But yeah, it's a tricky one. Okay, so we're sort of down to the level where I feel like I want to use a bit of green. So I'm going to pick, now I'm thinking, do I want a lighter green in the background than what we've done, or a darker green? I've got a really light green, but I'm not sure if it's too minty, so I'm just going to take some up on my sponge and have a look. I think that's very luminously, fluorescently minty. I don't want that. Nope. We'll go for this one. It's better. Okay, that's my palest green that isn't mint. So we're going to use this at the bottom. You can of course go over your stems. We've got a bit of stem there that hasn't been coloured. Can you see there? That would be, I think, juniper green. I'm pretty sure that's what we use. So I'm just going to colour that in really quickly. There. And there. There we go. Oh dear. You've probably noticed I forgot that right in the first video. Anyway, so this, because it's lighter, it's a little bit less concerning going around all this yellow with it, and we can probably just sort of mix it into the blue quite easily. There we go. Still being a bit careful around the lamp. But I think it's easier to do green behind the leaves, but also I think it might be right, you know, there might be other plants sort of growing behind them. But it's only where there's yellow that you have to sort of be careful here. And because this is pale, it still shows up all the colours. There we go. And the other side. Now here we have got a dandelion which is going to have this behind it, so let's have a think about that, because I think it might be a bit too pale to show up the white pen. So I'm going to really load up my cloth and put quite a lot behind there. So that hopefully it'll show it up. I'm trying to put my hands down, not on the areas that I want to. Oh, that's really uneven. Oh, we have got a pencil. There was a pencil lead under there. For some reason it had got inside my book. That was interesting. I think that blends fairly well into the blue without too much worry. I prefer that a bit darker like it is on this side. I might make it a bit darker on the other side in a minute. But let's just finish this side. I feel like in some places over here it's a little bit light, like here. I can just darken it up a little bit. It's just the same as pencil, you just layer it up and it gets darker, so that's good. Makes it nice and easy to use. I heard someone say they're a bit frightened of the pastels, and I can understand that because some of them are really dark. You know, I was using black pastel and grey pastel yesterday, and yeah, it's not, you know, I can understand why that's a bit scary. The lighter colours, a bit less scary. I'm just going to go around here because it doesn't go all the way to the middle of our flower. And it's okay if your blue's got bits of white because that would look like cloud, but I'm going to go over this with white pen in a minute. So we want to make it look a bit more like it's like a bit darker, so the white pen works, stands out. It's a bit messy in there. Let's put a bit more in there. Okay, I'm going to make that do. And I have got a folded up piece of paper which I'm going to use to lean on while I do the pen work. I think I'm going to work across from here to here. I'm going to start with these bits of in the sky, Now, hang on. Just going to find my pens before I get started. Yeah, so I have got a Gellyroll 10 white. I'm going to start here with this magic, and we're just going to draw it in. Now I find the stars are too small for me to draw, so I have to make them a bit bigger. Now these, I'm actually going to fill in the circles. That circle. So here, this circle I'm going to fill in rather than outline. I think it shows up more and it's easier for me to do it. Now, if you wish, you could do these stars in the colour of the magic from here, but I think it sort of makes sense in white. Now, you can probably start to see how the darker your sky, the more this shows up. And if you didn't do a background, you're going to just have to leave these black, because otherwise you'll just rub them out with this pen and then they'll disappear. I'm making these a bit bigger. I think they show up more if they're a bit bigger, and it doesn't really matter that they're a bit bigger. Now, I'm just looking at where we're at. Okay, our first one of these. So I'm just going to follow all of Johanna's lines and colour in the circles. It's take a little bit of time, but I'm not doing anything too different. Now you could, I've seen these just filled with lots and lots of lines, rather than only following what Johanna's done, put even more lines in. I'm not going to do that to start with, and I shall see how it looks. I think this might work anyway. But if you think, you know, the white isn't obvious enough, then you may want to put a bit more in. It's quite awkward doing this. I would turn the book round if I could and bring it a bit closer, but I'll do my best. It's nice coming to the end of a page, satisfying to know there's another page done in this book. I haven't done enough pages in this lovely book. I need to do more. The book is already feeling old and worn, and I've done hardly any pages. I don't know if you know what I mean. The cover feels worn somehow, but I will get more done. I will get more done in the next few months, actually, until Johanna brings out her new book, and then I'll be working in that one, I no doubt. Thing is, when I look at I don't get completely obsessed by statistics on YouTube, but I can tell, I know certain videos are more popular than others, and it's not necessarily about getting lots of views, which is obviously always nice, but knowing that if I am getting lots of views, it means that people are enjoying it, so it sort of gives me a bit of guidance on what to do. And what I find is when Johanna has a new book, people like watching the tutorials from that. It makes sense, because I expect her old books, there are lots of tutorials out there anyway, and what I'm doing today, for example, a lot of people might have already done, so you might have already done those pages as well, whether through a video or by yourself. So it all makes sense that the newer books are going to get more sort of views. And I'm quite excited because I've also ordered Hannah Carlson's new book. Now that, I'm not sure when that's coming out. As far as I'm aware, there's no English version, so US, UK version release date, as far as I've seen from following Hannah on Instagram, although Instagram's got really bad at showing me posts, so I just don't know what's going on half the time. But it's out on Swedish Instagram, I think in September, and my husband has ordered it for me. So I will be getting the Swedish? I'm sure I'm right, maybe not, version coming through. I mean, I won't get it on release date, I shouldn't imagine, because it's, you know, got to come from abroad. But that's quite exciting. But it's Atlantis. It's called Tales from Atlantis, I think. It's in her sort of Tales from series, the slightly smaller books. I have got loads of her book, all of her books now, and they're really beautiful. And I'd love to finish them all. And getting new ones, I'm like, crikey, I don't really need new ones because I've got, you know, so many. But I just wanted to get it to show you nice and early. And so I thought that's what I'd do. And also underwater pictures aren't something I'm so keen on compared with flora, you know, fauna, flora. Botanicals really in my love. But I have found that actually in Hannah's books I've done quite a few of the underwater pictures and enjoyed them. So I figured I know I'm going to enjoy the book. It's also good because she always does a snake. If we're underwater, there's no snake. Yay! I suppose there are water snakes, but hopefully there won't be a snake. I was flicking through one of her books yesterday to grab a picture. I think it was Forest Kingdom. And there's a double page with a snake. I'm like, ugh, why? But the scales on the snake look really fun to colour, but I just have to try and blank out the fact that it is a snake, if that makes sense. I don't know. I need to embrace our fears a little bit. Although I'm not very good at doing that. I don't drive anymore because I get too scared. I had 2 mini accidents, nothing too serious at all. The first one, I was driving, my handbag fell off the passenger seat, I was on my own, and I was leaving a car park, so there was no cars around, so I quickly grabbed it and picked it up, but I steered into a hedge, and I didn't realise, but inside the hedge was barbed wire, and it scratched all the side of the car. So I had to, the whole panel of the car had to be resprayed because I just driven into a hedge. Oh. And then another one was I was doing a hill start and the person behind me got too close and I went into them and cracked their number plate, and we swapped addresses, details, but she never got back to me. She said she didn't, it was an old car, it was her boyfriend's car and I was in my sister's car. We were both insured and it was no problem, but she said she would get in touch with me if she wasn't sure he would be that worried, and she didn't get in touch with me, so that was good. But my husband has never, he's done, once he was reversing down a really narrow street and he scratched a car a little bit and he got really upset about it, and the driver of the car, it was stationary and they were in it, he was ever so kind and he said, I can repair this, it's just a scratch, and I'll just ask if you can just send me the money for the paint or repair kit, whatever it was, and we won't do it through the insurance because it's, you know, you lose your no claims and all that sort of thing. And so we swapped phone numbers. I remember him phoning me up and us sorting it out, the money, and it was all very easy and nice. Right, there are those 2 done. This down here, I'm just going to, this candle, look, we've got some lines. I'm just going to do these lines in here, like that, and then move on to this little one down here. but anyway, after my 2 incidences, I was always absolutely terrified driving anyway. I would be sweating and shaking with fear as I drove. And once I had my children, I was like, I don't want to drive with my kids in the car. I'm so scared anyway. And with those precious bundles, I just can't do it. So I just stopped driving. So I've still got a current license, which if there was a terrible emergency and I had to drive for some reason or other, which I can't imagine why, I could legally do it. But I wouldn't remember how to do it. Luckily, the children are going to learn to drive soon. I say children, they're 17. They've applied for their, we've got the paperwork now for their provisional license, which you have to have a provisional license to learn. And I got their photographs done yesterday. They have to have the photographs signed by someone to sort of confirm their ID. So we're going to organise that. And we can do that this week. We've got someone that we can ask who's actually visiting us at the end of the week, so I'm sure she'll be able to do it. And then those can be applied for. Until they've got that, they can't have any lessons. And so once they can do it, then I will never need to. Well, I suppose they won't always be with me in the car, but anyway, I'm hoping I won't ever need to anyway. But I keep my license for ID because, you know, if you go to the post office and you have to pick up a letter that's been returned to the post office because you weren't in, you have to have ID, a proof of address, and it's such a useful little document to have for that purpose. So that's why, and it's just a little, these days it's just a little card, you just keep it in your purse and it's there if needed. So yeah, I don't know how I got on to talking about that. I'm still outlining. It takes quite a long time to work through all these, but it's quite, I find it, I like doing this sort of thing, I think, because you're getting near to the end of the picture and it's sort of the bit that's making the difference, I think. You could just not do these in white, you could leave them in the black and just leave them, but I think it just makes a nice difference to the picture somehow. I just like it. Now, white pens, there are quite a lot of different brands. I've heard that the Arteza ones are some of the best, but according to, is it Colour with Claire or Emily Illustrator? I know Sarah Renee Clark tested some and she came up with a completely different idea of what she thought was the best. I like Posca and Sakura, so, but I haven't tried all the ones. I think I've got some Pentel ones on my wish list to try out, because husband uses Pentel black pens and swears by them, so I thought it might be worth trying them, but I haven't yet. But these are perfectly good. When they start to run out, they're not so good, but I think you find that's the case with every pen. The Poscas are sometimes better on certain papers and pencils than these, which is interesting, but these are working very well on here. This is the 10, which is the thickest nib. Sakura is nice because it comes in 3 nib sizes. You've got a 5, an 8 and a 10. And the 5 is very fine, which can be really useful, although it clogs a bit because it's so fine. That's my phone ringing. The children can get it. I'll listen in and see who it is. Can't hear anything. might be my husband. If it is, then the kids can deal with it, I'm sure. I'm sure it's all fine. Oh well, I'll find out in a bit. Oh, we've got these bits to do. I can hear him pacing around. Hang up the phone now. I'll find out in a bit when I've finished. So I needn't do all this on camera really. I'm basically just covering the... I'm just going to go, hang on a minute. Apparently, yes, it was just my husband saying what time he was going to be back home. So that was fine. I heard some banging, you see. I thought they were trying to get my attention, but it was, I don't know what it was, but it wasn't them. It's outside, I think. Anyway, there are quite a few dandelions in books, and it's nice sort of knowing a method of colouring them like this. Sometimes I have done them with silver pen before, which is quite nice, give them a bit of sparkle, but not today. I'd always planned on doing these white, even though some of them don't want to stay white. The thing with the paint pens is that if you want to try and do a second layer, you must make sure your first layer is dry, because otherwise it just takes off the pen you've put down. Okay, so it's worth I'm going to try it differently. I'm going to go do all the circles first. So you have to wait for it to dry. I think this might be a bit quicker. So if it hasn't gone down thickly enough, you'll have to, as I say, I don't know how long it takes to dry. I usually leave it a really long time just in case, but I think a few minutes, maybe 10 minutes, you'd probably be able to apply a second layer. But I never shut my book for hours, usually overnight, just in case. I don't want to mess up my picture. It doesn't hurt to leave it open somewhere. So just notice we've got some magic up here. There we go. So now let's do the lines. Let's do these circles first, and then we'll do the lines. I think it'll be easier if we do the lines all in one go. I think I'll find it easier to steady my hand. I don't know. I might be wrong. Let's do those dots as well first. You can obviously add in more dots and lines if you feel you want to. See, you're the artist. You can do how you wish. Now, you might even want to go around the edge of this centre bit, but I think it's probably not necessary. Yeah, I think that's a bit easier and quicker, doing it this way. But you may prefer not to. I'm talking very slowly, aren't I? Very concentrated. Now see where this stalk disappears because it goes behind the fluff. You might want to colour a bit more. You know, might think it should be a bit thicker because we can't see through it. So rather than just carefully covering the lines like I am, you might want to just do lots and lots of white all over the place to make it look thick. But I'm going to leave it there. Now, I have been thinking about the centre of these flowers and whether to go around this bit, but I didn't know whether to go around it in white or yellow. I think I might just do it in white, just around these bits, because that black looks a bit harsh. And there's some dots. Buttercups don't actually have white in, they have yellow in the middle, but I just think this might look a bit pretty, show up a bit more, look a bit prettier than the yellow. You don't have to do this bit. I'm probably just being a bit fussy. Yeah, the noise I heard was someone hitting their balcony railings. I wonder if a pigeon or something had landed on there. Get them a lot. So, yeah, same on these. Now remember what I said about the butterfly, the ink on the butterfly. You could do that in a glaze, black glaze pen. Sakura do a black glaze pen and that would make it look more shiny. Or what I'm going to do is use a little bit of white to try and make it look like it's reflecting the light, like that. It might not show up brilliantly on this yellow flower particularly, but on the butterfly it might show up a little bit more. I'm just checking that I've done the candles, which I had a little dot. Probably should use a thinner pen, but I'm too lazy to root around for another pen. Just gonna do those lines, and then we have got the bee's wings. I'm gonna use the Sakura number 700 now, and I'm just going to do the bit inside here, not the outside edge, and this applies a glitter. It's like plain glitter glue, so there's no gel in here, it doesn't change the colour, it just applies a glitter glaze, which I really love. You could use stickles for this if you wanted. I haven't used mine for quite a while. I tend to use glitter more at Christmas, I have to say, for obvious reasons. Now I find it sometimes difficult to see where you've applied the glitter and where you've missed. So I shall be turning my head to the side. That's it, now I can see. And we're nearly there. You can add more magic in the sky with your white or whatever if you wish. But I'm going to make that do. I'm going to take the paper out, the pages, and put it there so you can see. So there is our finished picture. Yeah, I think it looks quite cute, so that's good. The sky could be smoother, but I'm not worried. you could do it smoother on your version if you want to. But there we go. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the series. Please subscribe and tune in tomorrow for something different. But for now, thank you so much and happy colouring.